Good morning and welcome everybody. How are you? It's the 2nd of July already. Where did June go? I really don't know. It seems to have just flown by, but I hope that you're all okay. And now that you've had a chance, I hope to go and see friends, family, and maybe some loved ones in recent weeks. I hope that things are feeling a bit better for everybody. They certainly are for me. I know that. And also the team, we're all working really well at the moment. So still very pleased with what's happening. So yeah, there's some real positivity out there. So good morning and welcome everybody. Today we are going to talk about client money protection. It's quite an important subject. I've been wanting to talk about it for a little while now, but there have been slightly more pressing items to discuss with you guys on the webinar. But we'll talk about that today. It's not a particularly long one today, so don't worry. I won't waffle on for too long. But one thing to mention, yesterday, 1st of July, us agents know what that means. I'm not sure if it's in your calendar, but electrical regulations kicked in yesterday, 1st of July. So cast your mind back to our electrical regulations webinar a few weeks ago. That has all kicked in today. So any new tenancy and any renewal must have an EICR certificate produced and given to the tenant before that tenancy can start. And of course, in April next year, 1st of April 2021, all tenancies must then have an EICR, an electrical installation condition report, as a legal requirement. So let's continue. Let me share screen with you and we can get started. Okay, so client money protection. Now, this has been around for quite a while. James Anderson have had client money protection for a long time. This is important for you as our clients because it shows what we're doing to make sure that you're safe and your money is safe. It's not just your money, it's the tenants as well. But any good agent should have client money protection if they're worth their salt and they care about their clients enough. But what is it? What's the context around client money protection? I'll explain all that to you. So you can see here, these are your website links. And these are all here. If you want to follow up on these yourself and find out a bit more detail, you are very welcome. Like I said, they are orientated towards us agents because this is our responsibility, not yours as a landlord. But I don't want there to be any secrets. There are no secrets. I'd like to be as open and transparent as possible with you because you know, I'd like you to know what we need to do as agents. And I hope that these webinars highlight exactly what we need to do as agents to keep you safe, to keep your property safe, to keep your tenants safe, to be compliant, whatever it might be. There's a lot of work that goes into one single tenancy. And I hope that's become apparent over recent weeks where we've been looking into what we need to do as agents and landlords. So the context of client money protection. The Housing and Planning Act of 2016 enabled the Secretary of State to require that letting and property agents in England belong to a government-approved client money protection scheme. Pretty easy. Last year, on March the 4th, the government passed another regulation, which was the Client Money Protection Scheme for Property Agents, Regulation 2019. And in simple terms, that really was the final definitive requirement to belong to a scheme. That was last year in March. But what is client money protection? It's just a compensation scheme which will reimburse the landlord and the tenant if their agent goes bust or misuses client money. And that could be loss of money, theft, or misappropriation. I know, to say that sounds crazy. Why would anybody be doing that? But unfortunately, not everybody plays the game in the way that we do. And unfortunately, there are some crafty agents out there still. But anyway, let's have a look at what client money can include. So we've got rent. There's client funds held by us agents as a cash float for maintenance and repairs. I know that with our managed properties, we hold a repair fund for that very reason. And unprotected deposits. Not all deposits fall under assured short hold tenancies, and therefore not all deposits have to be held in a deposit scheme. You may remember that from our previous webinars, but any unprotected deposit must be within the protected money scheme. So there's also fee money taken in advance. That could be a tenant's holding deposit, for example, when they agree a deal. There's also the money held by agents appointed as a receiver under the Law of Property Act 1925. There's sales proceeds, and also any interest earned on these monies, which is due to the client. So what about some dates? When did all this need to happen by? We know that the Housing and Planning Act of 2016 stated that there needs to be client money protection, and last year the regulations were reinforced. But let's have a look. So from 1st of April 2019, all property agents in England holding client money must belong to a government-approved client money protection scheme. So in terms of the dates, when those rules came into force, the CMP client money protection schemes were only permitted to offer a grace period up to the 1st of April 2020, which would allow agents to open a client money account if they hadn't already done so. However, in March, this was extended by the government, and this is now into next year. So there's an extra 12 months given to agents to comply with the regulations for CMP. So now agents that aren't yet with a scheme have until the 1st of April next year, 2021, to get their ship in order. I would hope that they would do that much sooner, but that's the way people work, I'm afraid. Now, it has been around for a long, long time, you know, pre-2016, and I know that we've had client money protection for many, many years, and there are some awful stories out there of people disappearing with deposits and client monies, which, like I mentioned, is an awful thing to happen in this day and age, but this is what this is here for, to protect you against unethical business. So what are the schemes? There are 2 approved schemes for the private rental sector, and these are Money Shield and Property Mark, and there are the links there on the right hand side of the screen for you. So they're the dates, they're who we need to be approved client money protection with. But what else do we need to do? Now, it's not just estate agents simply, it does include property management agents, and also that would cover block management agents. So for those of you that have flats inside a block, does that managing agent, that block management agent, have client money protection? Might be worth asking. You know, it would certainly give you peace of mind. So let's have a look. What do we need to be doing? So firstly, we need to hold client money in a client money account with a bank or building society. That seems to make sense, and it's got to be authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. Secondly, you have to hold and maintain appropriate professional indemnity insurance. Now, the appropriate part is that the cover, that insurance cover, is appropriate for the member's size, the income and the type of work that's carried out, and the amount of client money held. So the level of insurance has to be suitable and applicable for that company and their particular work. We have to comply with the written procedures for handling client money. We also must keep records and accounts that show all dealings with the client money, and we must repay client money without delay if there is no longer any need to hold on to that money, or if the client simply requests it. Of course, we have a specific client money account that all monies go into at James Anderson, so there's no need to worry on that front. Now, what about proving it? You know, this is all well and good to say that we do it, but the requirement is that we prove this. So you can easily work this out via websites, via offices, and this is how. So there are transparency requirements, as they're known. So firstly, we must obtain a certificate from our membership scheme, which we have. Secondly, The next transparency requirement is that of display. We must display the certificate confirming our membership, and that's got to be fairly prominent within every premises of the company, where face-to-face interactions may take place with people who may or may not want to engage with our services. And it also has to be in every one of our offices and displayed somewhere where it's easily seen by anybody that comes into the office. The next part is publishing. We need to publish this on our website. So I hope this little link here works that we set up. Excellent, it doesn't. Anyway, not to worry. Let me just show you our money certificate here. So here it is. With property mark, client money protection, James Anderson is covered as a main scheme member. And there we are, valid until next year when that will be renewed. Okay, so let's go back to our slide. There we are, apologies. Technical stuff, can't help it. That's the problem with live webinars, eh? Okay, so then once we've published, we must be able to produce our copy of the certificate confirming our membership to anybody that asks for it and whenever they ask for it, and that should be provided free of charge. If an agent can't do that, then I would be asking some serious questions of them. So if you want to double check with agents who have, who have your properties outside of James Anderson, go ahead, and I hope that they can produce that for you. And then finally, also in terms of producing evidence, if there's a change of circumstances with our membership scheme, such as the membership ceases or the membership is revoked, or indeed if we choose to use a different scheme, we have to let you know. We let you know, we let our tenants know as well. And that has to be within 14 days of the change and making people aware of the new scheme that we are using. I hope that's all pretty obvious and pretty clear. Like I said, if you want to pop into a James Anderson office at any point, you should see these. Now, finally, what happens if we don't do what we're supposed to do? There's enforcement and there's penalties, as always. It doesn't matter, in this day and age with lettings, landlords are going to get fined, agents are going to get fined, and it's all part of this regulation which we are working towards. Steadily but surely, regulation will be a huge part of the lettings industry. So enforcement is really down to the local authority, and they will be knocking on doors, they will be looking at websites and following up and making checks on agents to make sure everybody is compliant and doing what they should do. It could mean that there's a number of local authorities involved. When you think about the James Anderson properties, we have properties in Wandsworth, in Richmond, there's some in Fulham and Hammersmith, there are some into Merton when you look at some of the properties going towards Wimbledon. So there could be a number of local authorities involved where a breach might occur, because a breach of the rules is actually deemed to have occurred in each local authority where the agent has premises or housing is in relation to our work and the property management that we carry out. So it could cover a whole host of authorities. And then finally, the penalties. So those agents that don't want to play by the rules, good luck to those agents, because if you're not a member of the scheme, by April the 1st next year, you could receive a fine of up to £30,000. £30,000 is huge. That is a big, big penalty. So yeah, best of luck if you want to take your chances with that as an agent. And then secondly, in terms of the transparency that we just mentioned, displaying our certificate in our offices and our website, if that's not done, penalty of up to £5,000. So that's not a good day in the office for anybody. And it's such a simple thing to do. And I cannot believe that any agent will fall foul of this. If they do, then wow, that probably says a lot about their codes of practice, I would say. So I hope that's been useful. If you've got any questions at all on this or anything to do with lettings, you can give me a call. So I'll leave my number there just for a minute, or you can send me an email to get in touch. And of course, the whole team are available in Barnes, Sheen and Putney. And of course, offices are open until 9 o'clock in the evening. So I hope that we are available when you're free to talk. So finally, there was just another point that I wanted to let you know about, which is actually something really positive for the industry regarding possession cases with the courts. There was a discussion last night and the government released a statement saying that as of August 24th, possession cases will begin again in the courts. So that is actually quite good news. There are a number of landlords who have got tenants in properties who honestly really should have been evicted by now, and the tenancy should have been drawn to a close. That hasn't been able to happen because of obvious reasons that we've discussed regarding the moratorium at the courts. But August 24th, things will begin again, which is great news. It's going to take a while to clear backlogs and things like that. So please don't think in any instance that, you're going to get news and your tenant will be out by the end of September. It won't be the case. We're still going to probably look towards the end of the year and into early 2021 to clear a lot of those cases, but that is positive news. And finally, a couple of thank yous. So I just wanted to say thank you to Edna, who came into the office last week, and we've been emailing. If there's anything I can do to help, I know you said your tenants are going through a tricky period at the moment, but we'll catch up in June either way, in the middle of June, like we agreed. If there's anything we can do in the meantime, just give us a call. Shirley, I think we're going to have a great relationship working with you. Thank you so much for coming to us in Putney. I know that Lee and his team have been working absolutely flat out since you've come into the office to make sure we can get everything set up for your properties. I know Lee's been chasing your previous agent for all the documentation that we need from them to make that work. And I really hope that, I think probably within a few days' time, we can report back to say that we're all set up and ready to go. But I know that Lee has really been working his socks off for you. So that's great news. Jonathan, great to speak to you. I know it's been a little while since you and I spoke, back in the days of my managing in Sheen, but really pleased to help. Thank you very much. Really glad to get your renewal finalised. If you've got any questions, just let me know. Anything like that, I'm always happy to help with. And Mrs. Smith, great to be speaking with you. I'm so glad to have your instruction and hope we can find a really good tenant for you. You've got some great features at the property, so I don't think it will take long. And good luck on the golf course this weekend. It looks like the weather's back over this weekend, so I hope you get a nice sunny round and you shoot a good round. And I'll speak to you probably next week. But anyway, thank you to everybody who watches the webinar this week. I hope it's useful, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time, and we will discuss zero deposits. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'll see you soon. Look after each other and stay safe. Thank you.